So here we are on the Zen Arbitrage software, and there's some things that I like about this software a little bit better. It's a little bit of a different setup, although it's very, very similar, okay? Same thing with the eFlip software. You're going to basically be setting all the different levers. They're just sideways, and they look a little bit different, right? Now, there's some other main things that I like about this, and I'll show you them as we move along. But one of the benefits of this is that you can see built in to check your restriction, right? So if you click this on any one of these, what I used to recommend on eFlip is, okay, if you sort the ISBN over here and you right click the ISBN, or you go through and you check to see if a book's profitable, okay, great. You just spent, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes if you run really, really slow, or maybe 2 minutes if you're really, really fast, and check to see if the book was profitable and if you could buy it and if you could sell it, right? And all those good things, right? But then you had to check to see if you were able to sell it by copying the ISBN and putting it in your Seller Central to make sure that you could actually sell it. But the whole thing there is you're spending maybe 5 minutes initially ahead of time to check the book and then see if you can sell it. So you might, if God forbid you check the book and you found a profitable book that you spent like 2 to 5 minutes on, well, you might have just wasted that 2 to 5 minutes when you found out that you weren't able to actually sell that. So Zen Arbitrage has actually formatted into their software a built-in way to check that ahead of time so that you can basically see whether or not you're eligible to actually sell that before you even look into the book, right? So before we actually jump into the levers here, let me show you what I mean. So if you click this little 3-button thing, it's going to say check restriction right here, and you're simply going to hit check restriction. Then it's going to pop up, assuming you were signed into your Amazon seller account. It is going to pop up really fast with your Amazon seller account, the ISBN already in your seller account, so that you can see just with one click on this check restriction if you're able to sell it, right? If you're not able to sell it, so let's assume that I was not able to sell this, even though clearly I am, right? I can sell it in new condition, I can sell it in collectible, I can sell it in used, right? And you'll obviously see that right here. If you're unable to sell it, it will tell you, okay? If you are able to sell it, then you'll be able to hit sell this product on that condition, okay? Now, if, for God forbid, I wasn't able to actually sell that, well, then I could literally just mark it as seen, boom, and then I know to avoid that product already because I've already looked into it. And it only took me about 5 to 10 seconds to already identify that that was not a profit or a book that I can potentially source because I'm gated. So why even waste my time? Then I can simply avoid all the ones I've already seen before. You can also mark them as bought if you want to mark them as bought in the quantity that you actually purchased. Although I don't usually ever do that. I just kind of click mark as seen or not, okay? So it's a really cool way to kind of integrate into the software to save you a bunch of time. And in online arbitrage, or any reselling game, the amount of clicks that you can save yourself, the amount of time that you can save yourself sourcing ends up being a game changer and is going to make you more money. So one more, just kind of recap. Let's click the second one, the 3 prongs down, check restriction, and it's going to pull that actual book up in my seller account and tell me ahead of time, okay, I'm able to sell it. So now it might be worth to actually look into. If I did that and it told me I wasn't able to sell it, well, then I'd simply mark it as seen and be like, okay, I can't sell this. So there's no point to even look into it. Okay. So that's that with that. Now to actually get to the product detail page from Zen Arbitrage Software, you want to click the ISBN right here. And that's going to take you to the used detail page of that Amazon book specifically, right? Just like eFlip would. Now to get to the normal detail page, you want to right click and go open a new tab, and that way you can basically compare the used offers to the new to the used offers on this page, or the new to the new on Bookfinder. Okay, so I'm going to run you through an entire tutorial and actually source with you here in a second if you don't understand what I'm saying right now to you. But if you want to look for the Bookfinder, which is basically going to pull you up all different kinds of opportunities where this book is selling outside of Amazon, right, that you can potentially buy cheaper on another marketplace and then resell back on Amazon and keep the markup and profit for yourself, right? That's how you make money. Then the Bookfinder is right here on BF. Okay. Now there's also calculator integrations, but I don't really use that. What I usually use is the AMZ Scout calculator right here. It's a free plugin. And I also recommend Jungle Scout. That's going to show you all the sales velocity of a book because if you're on the detail page, right, then you can scroll down and see like, okay, this is 150 in books. It's selling really, really well, right? Or, okay, this is 80,000 in books. Or, okay, this is 220,000 in books. It's selling half decently. But to actually get a legitimate, estimate of the actual sales rank, and I'm going to sign in here in a second, then you need Jungle Scout because it's going to show you. So let me pop over and show you an example of that sales rank. All right, so we're back on the detail page and I've signed it in Jungle Scout. Let me show you exactly how this kind of works, okay? So now I hit Jungle Scout on the detail page and it's gonna literally tell me this is selling 27 a month, or about 788 monthly sales with the monthly revenue coming in when it sells, right? So it's gonna give me the amount of sales every single month. Now, that's not 100% set in stone, right? It's just the best estimate based on this book and its current sales rank in that current category. But this is invaluable because it's gonna literally tell you full stop, like, hey, this is selling and this is how many a day and this is how many a month, right? It's going to take all the guesswork out of it for you. And I highly recommend that. That way you're not risking, trying to analyze Keepa charts or look at the sales rank and doing anything like that. Like, no, this literally tells you this is selling or no, this is not selling, right? It takes all the guesswork out of it. I'll actually link Jungle Scout as well if you want to check it out, okay? So I highly recommend that. Now let's go through some of the levers and actually setting this up. If you want to take out some of this other kind of, not BS, but like unnecessary stuff in here, like the publisher or the trade-in value, if you're not doing any of that, then you'll see this little tab right here says advanced view and you click it on and off. If you want to kind of get some of those little, columns out, just go over and click the advanced view off and it'll make it a little bit easier to kind of manage for you, okay? So this is pretty much the same as eFlip, although it's just a slightly different interface. And I kind of like the way that this is set up a little bit differently. And I was sourcing with this for about an hour earlier and I found about 10 books that were all profitable that I'm super excited about. So this is a highly, highly, highly valuable tool, just like eFlip, where you can literally get spoon-fed book leads that are profitable that you can buy on one marketplace super cheap and then ship into Amazon FBA and make the markup and profit, okay? It's invaluable. So what I basically first like to do is I'll go average rank. Now, sometimes I'll go, and remember guys, this is average rank, okay? So it might be higher than this, it might be lower than this at the time, and when you actually set this, it will tell you the average rank right here and what it is. But when you actually click the ISBN, that rank might be very different, right? So like this, for example, let's pull it up to show you. 407 is the average rank on this second book. But if we click the ISBN, chances are it probably isn't 407 in books, right? It's probably, 500 or 300 or something. So let me show you an example. So we scroll down and I'll show you it is 572 in books, right? So the average rank is 407 because it fluctuates, but that's just giving you a best indicator of the average rank. So make sure that you do look at that as well, or you can just take all the guesswork out of it by using, like I said, Jungle Scout. So I like to start really low, or not necessarily really low, like 5,000 or lower or 10,000 or lower, because some of those you might be gated for on, as Amazon does actually gate you on a lot of the top ranked books. So maybe let's start with like something like 100,000 or lower, just so I can, give you examples. Let's even go 200,000 or lower, just so I can kind of give you some examples so that we're not like wasting your time on this tutorial. But obviously, if I were sourcing this to actually be profitable, I would start lower first. So maybe I'd go like 10,000 or lower because I'm ungated with a lot of textbooks. For you, maybe you want to go 30,000 or lower, 50,000 or lower. Now, I've sold books all the way up to about 500,000, but I don't recommend that because you can be waiting on them for a decent amount of time. But hey, if the profit margin is like 100 or 200 or even 300 bucks, it might be worth it to wait a couple months for that profit margin if you're buying a book for 40 bucks and then shipping into Amazon and then 3 months later it sells for 280. Well, worth it in my opinion, right? It all depends on your cash flow, how much money you're willing to put up, and how long you're willing to wait for those books, okay? You need to use your judgment accordingly. So let's go 200,000 just so I don't waste your time. You can click textbook only on if you want. I'm not going to. You can also filter with a little bit more results per page, although I'm not going to. And you can also sort by used price or new price, which basically filters it right here, but I don't really ever do that as well. I just kind of go through them here and there. And for me specifically, what I like to do is I don't actually sit here and spend like 8 hours a day sourcing, right? I don't even usually spend like an hour a day sourcing. What I'll do is I'll hop on this and I only make a few extra grand a month doing this with books because generally speaking, I'm doing other things in my online arbitrage business, although I love this software and I love book flipping because for all these reasons that I'll demonstrate, right? But what I actually like to do is when I have some downtime, right? Maybe I'm sitting there watching TV and in between commercials, I'll start scanning books to find something, right? You find one book, maybe you make 50 bucks. You find another book, maybe you make another 30 bucks. You find another book, bam, you got, really lucky there. You made a $200 book margin because you found one, right? So I don't sit here and source this for like hours and hours every single day. It's just something I do on the side, and you can make great money if you do it on the side. But obviously, if you want to, scale this up to a full-time income, then you can make phenomenal money if you actually do it. But you do need a little bit of money to start. Obviously, for the actual Zen Arbitrage software, and obviously to actually get into books, right? So I'll actually drop a link as well if you guys are interested. There's a 14-day free trial for Zen Arbitrage. Hop on this, guys. This software, I'm telling you, is a great opportunity. So enough of my BS and kind of explaining. Let's jump into the tutorial, right? So what I'm going to do is use price. I'm just going to put a little bit of a use price here so we know that there's an offer of like 10 cents, and I'll go maybe with the use price we want like 25 bucks there as a max, right? And people always ask me like, what are the best levers, whether you're doing eFlip or Zen Arbitrage? What are the best settings? And my answer is like, there really aren't any. I like to change them up every single time, and the more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and you'll start to see like why you want to set levers up the certain way. You can kind of copy mine a little bit and then just change them slightly if you want. But ultimately, you want to change the levers every single time because it's going to give you different looks of different potential books that you might not have seen before and other people might not be seeing as well, right? So Amazon's price, let's go like from, I don't know, we'll go 10 bucks to all the way up to a top. And like the new price actually will go to like, we'll go for 25 bucks, right? Or you know what? Let's actually go 35 bucks. Minimum, okay? And then with the new offers, we want at least one new offer. We can't click this down. Well, we can't. Oh, there's no minimums. Okay. So it's not like eFlip where you can actually put the one up here, although I could have sworn I was doing that earlier, but whatever. We'll just roll with it. But really that all that matters right here is you don't want to be competing against too many people necessarily, in my opinion. So with new offers, which I'm going to only source for new offers here, although you can also source for used offers. I'll show you how to actually do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like, okay, I don't really want to be competing with like more than 20 new offers on a landing page, right? Or on a listing. You can go 10. You can even type in another number here if you want to go like 3 and go like really low. What I like to do usually is I'll go really, really, really specific, right? Like 30,000 or lower or 10,000 or lower. And then like 3, and then like make these like really, really low, and then see what pops up. And then I'll go through all those books and find the good ones, right? And then I'll slowly broaden it out to like, okay, 50,000 or lower, and like maybe like 10 listings that I'm competing with, right? And I'll slowly broaden it out and see what kind of pops up. But for the sake of just showing you, let's just kind of go like, we'll go 30 offers or lower. And then we're going to apply the filters, okay? And what you're going to see is the software is actually going to reboot and spit you out all these different ones. So you've seen like, I've already sourced these 2 that it's shown me already, or I've actually looked at them before. So it kind of marks it. And I kind of like that as well. So we're just literally going to roll down the list. Now, sometimes, and it depends here, but some indicators, the best indicators that I found are the ones with the biggest discrepancy from used price to new price. That does not always indicate a profitable buy. In fact, it can actually indicate an unprofitable buy or a buy that you might want to stay away from. But if you're strapped for time, that's what I'd recommend that you go for. But just to kind of show you, I'm just going to kind of willy-nilly go down and start sourcing some so that you get an idea of, hey, this is a good book and why, this is a bad book and why. So you see all the different opportunities and not just the good ones, right? I haven't set this up. I have no idea what's going to pop up. I'm going to sort through this like I would any other time. And the average rank right here is 174. Remember, I would have put it down a little bit lower, but just for the sake of kind of showing you different book opportunities, I want to keep it high, right? First thing I'm going to do is what? Go over to 3 tabs and check the restriction. So am I restricted? Should I even waste my time looking at this book? As a new book, okay, I can sell it. As a used book, okay, I can sell it. Now that we know that it's worth my time to actually look into, let's look into it, okay? So we're going to click the ISBN here. We're actually going to come back as well and click the book finder. Now you can hover over book finder and it's going to show you a preview. I personally just like to click it and kind of see it in my own tab. But the first thing I'll do on most landing pages is actually check to see if there's a discrepancy in the used price and the used buy box, right? So the cheapest used price, this is one way to make money flipping books on Amazon. Discrepancies from used prices, right? So there's many used offers and the used buy box. Although keep in mind that the used buy box tends to fluctuate because there's typically, not always, a lot more used offers on the buy box, right? So like here's a used offer for like $5.98 is the lowest, but the buy box right now is sitting at $13.40. So potentially there's a profit margin there if you want to calculate it. Although keep in mind that this could drop to one of the other used offers at any given time and be like $8, right? So it's not as surefire when you're sourcing used books, although there are opportunities there, right? So, and one of the biggest indicators is like when the cheapest one right here is in FBM, right? So it's not a prime offer and it's really, really low. And the buy box is a prime offer. The used buy box price is a prime offer and it's higher. And there's a lot of other prime offers that are all the same price. Probably a good indicator, okay? But I don't want to get too much into that because I've covered that in other eFlip tutorials as well if you want to check them out. But for right now, I just kind of want to introduce you to that concept again. So we're going to look at the buy new prices for all these, and we're just going to move through them quickly so you get good examples. I've been buying a lot of new books right now currently because A, I'm trying to increase my book inventory because FBA is kind of open back up for books now after the whole thing with the coronavirus. And B, we're approaching another textbook season. So it is a phenomenal chance to get into books right now so you can make a ridiculous amount of money. I spent a couple grand last book season because it was like really my first real book season, and I tripled my money, okay? Now, you can basically do the same thing with books this time, buy them super cheap now, and then during textbook season, when it launches, I'll drop the actual picture of what textbook season is and when it actually opens so that okay, source ahead of time for textbook season, and then once textbook season opens, all those books will sell super, super quickly at high profit margins because the demand is so much higher because all students need textbooks because they're going back to new classes, okay? So the new buy box price right here is $45. I always like to stay conservative. So like when I'm estimating about shipping or my price, I'll go higher, right? When I'm estimating about sourcing, I'll go lower. Or I think what I said just makes sense, hopefully. So I'm going to assume that this is $45 or $46, right? So, or 45, excuse me, to be a little bit conservative, okay? Now, what can I source this for? Always make sure that it's coming from the US and it's not an international or an instructor edition, okay? If you're sourcing in the US, that is, okay? If you're sourcing somewhere else, then that makes it a little bit different. Now, for the US, this is an offer right here to buy it for $18. So probably a decent opportunity, but the first thing that I want to check is A, is it an international edition? B, is it an instructor edition? C, is it the same exact edition? And then I'll look at the potential profit margin, right? So this is the first edition of this, and a thumbnail can be an indicator, although it's not always the same indicator, okay? So here we are with $45. I can source it for $18, so let's click on it and see if it's a good offer, okay? Now remember, first edition, it looks like this. Let's check it out. First edition, it says this is brand new. I don't see any first edition here, so I want to check. Okay, remember, I want to check to see if it's the first edition. I want to make sure it's not the instructor's edition, and I also want to make sure that it's not an international edition. So usually, it's a little bit easier to see here. If we click on this and we zoom in, this is the series editors. I don't see first edition. Go away. Also go away. Copy number 7. This might be an instructor's edition because I don't see first edition on here. So copy number 7. Yeah, that might be an instructor's edition. Copyrighted material. Cockburn, Highsmith. I don't know. So one thing this usually they're pretty much set, like kind of cut and dry. Like you'll be able to tell pretty relatively easily. But because I'm having a little bit of trouble here, what I would do is I'd spend a little bit of time and I'd look through this to make sure that it is actually the first edition and not an instructor's edition. Now, one of the benefits is I did not actually see instructor edition on this first one or international edition, so that's a good sign. But one thing to make sure that I definitely like to do is I'll look at the seller to see if they're a seller that has good feedback and a long history of selling on eBay or whatever site it is, then generally I'll trust them a little bit more. But I'll also open a search tab. So on PC, it's Control F to search. On Mac, I'm not sure what it is, but there's a way to search as well. And I'll literally type in international, right, and see if something pops up. So, okay, international, nothing pops up, meaning in this entire description, I didn't have to read it. There's no mention of international at all, okay? Now, is there instructor? Okay, no, there's no instructor, okay? And you won't have to do this on a lot of them because on the thumbnail of the thing, it'll literally be like, oh, second edition, and you'll see like second edition, and then you'll know firsthand like, okay, it's the same edition, right? But always make sure if you have a little bit extra time, okay? So this is brand new. It's not the instructor, it's not the international, and it should be the same edition, and it's a trusted seller, so chances are I can kind of buy with them from trust because if they're advertising that it's new and it's the not the instructor's edition, and then you get it and it happens to actually be, you can always return it as like an inaccurate website description. But chances are, if they're a vetted seller and they actually have good feedback, then you can kind of take them at their word a lot of times and you won't run into that problem. So this then becomes, with free shipping and $18, this then becomes a good opportunity to buy this, right? Because I can resell it for $45 potentially. There's only 12 new offers. The cheapest one is $37. I can always, on the product detail page, use another online seller add-on right here. So it's a free Google plugin that's going to tell me all the different offers on there. whether they're used, whether they're new, and whether they're FBA. So it's a cool little plugin that you can use. It's free, or you can simply go over to the little, by clicking like the other offers and then sort over here on the right. So I want to see like who I'm competing against when I ship this into FBA, right? So I'm competing against new sellers, not used, but I'm also only competing really against the prime offers because I plan on shipping it into FBA. And oh, would you look at that? I'm only competing against one person, and it is Amazon. So chances are if I ship this into FBA, I'm going to share the buy box with Amazon at about $45, okay? So let's go back to the actual detail page then and see what my potential profit margin is if I buy this for 18 bucks and then I ship it into FBA and sell it for 45. So we're going to use our little AMZ Scout calculator right here. And we say we're going to source it for 18 bucks. Shipping into FBA is going to be like 50 cents because I never ship one-off books. I always ship them all in together. So the product price, if I sell it used, or I sell it new, is, let's drag this over, 45 bucks. This is what I mean by staying conservative. So I'm not going to assume that I can sell it for 45.57. I'm going to assume maybe the price drops a little bit and it drops down to 45 bucks, okay? So if I buy it for 18 bucks, even if it costs me $1 to ship it into FBA, and we want to be a little conservative, and even if I only sell it for 45 bucks, I'm still going to make $12.53. So I'm turning 18 bucks into $12.53 by buying this and reselling it on Amazon. Boom. That's a profitable book. It literally took me, I don't know, a minute or two to actually get that. It took me about 10 minutes to demonstrate it because I was going through the software, but I would have already bought this about 10 minutes ago and I'd been on the this book down here and checking a bunch of others. So that's an example of a profitable book that I'm actually going to go ahead and buy. I'm actually going to copy this bad boy right here and I'm going to create a shortcut. So I remember one of the things I used to do actually when I'm creating these tutorials, and I actually found one that I liked, right, was I'd be like, oh, I'll go back to that later. But then I didn't realize going through the software, it actually forgets the book, right? So I'm actually going to wait for this to be over, and then I'm actually going to go ahead and buy that afterward from $18 from this seller, okay? Now, one of the other things that because I'm willing to wait, this might be a little bit of a higher book. So it is 120. That's not too bad at all. So 120,000 in books sells pretty well. But let's use the Jungle Scout Chrome extension to make sure. So daily sales of 7, 219 monthly sales, pretty solid buy in my opinion. I can buy this, make decent money, about 12 bucks pretty quickly doing this. Now, another thing you could do is also check to see if there's other opportunities to buy a new book here. And you can also see the other used offers over here, right? So this is a little bit higher at 28. I probably wouldn't go after that, and it might not even be profitable, okay? This is another opportunity for you to buy used books over here on the right. So if you go right here, it's selling for $4.11 on eBay. You might be able to ship that into FBA and make a little bit of money on the used book, but I probably wouldn't go that route as well, okay? So I'm going to save this one for later. I'm going to actually buy that, okay? Let's run through one more example since I didn't expect to find, a profitable book right away like that, but let's kind of see. So one more example, we'll run through it pretty fast, is study manual for this test thing right here. So first thing I'm going to do is click this right here and see if I'm restricted because I don't want to waste my time if I'm restricted. Okay, perfect example of me being restricted. Okay, so that's I'm really glad that I'm using the Zen Arbitrage software and it tells me that ahead of time. So I didn't waste another 5 to 10 minutes showing you something that I was restricted for, right? Or waste my time sourcing. It literally says not available. I'm not allowed to do that, okay? So next one is, we'll mark that as seen. So I know not to waste my time on that in the future. Leadership without easy answers. Can I sell this one? Okay, I can sell this one as new. I can sell this as used. Boom, this is a good opportunity, right? So I'm going to X out of this. I already know I can sell it. So then let's mark this as seen and we'll go through it. So leadership without easy answers. It's got an average rank of about 70,000. So we're going to click the ISBN. We're also going to come back and click the book finder, and then we're going to start sourcing. So I'm going to right click and open this in a new tab. And I'm going to look at the cheapest used opportunity to buy this, which is about 19 bucks about 19 bucks. So the used buy box is a little bit under that, so there's no opportunity to buy this used. Is there an opportunity? Remember, I'm not sourcing for this right now, but I just want to kind of show you all the opportunities here. It's selling as the used buy box is $17.98. What's the opportunity to buy it here? Okay, you probably could buy it on eBay for $4.93 and ship it in and maybe get the used buy box. Although keep in mind, this could fluctuate because there could be other offers on here as other used offers, right? So if I went to the other used offers, or I just use my online seller add-on right here and see, So, or you can go like 88 used all the way down to 231. So keep in mind that like that could fluctuate. It might not be by the time you ship it into FBA, it might not actually be 18 bucks. Okay. So there's a lot of moving parts with used books. I don't want to get into it right here. Let's try to source it with new right here. So 38 bucks is the used buy or the new buy box price. Excuse me. What is it selling for on Bookfinder? The cheapest opportunity to buy this on Bookfinder is $28.51. So that is probably a bad buy, right? Because it's not going to be profitable. Let's assume I can buy this for $28.51. If I use the AMZ Scout calculator and I buy it for $28.51, and my shipping cost into FBA is $1. We always like to kind of overestimate, even though it'll probably only cost me like 20 cents. And the product price right here is $38.49. Well, then I'm losing money, right? It's going to tell me that, hey, I'm down $3.52 if I buy this. So it's not a good book. So that's an example. That's a tutorial on how you use Zen Arbitrage. I really hope that this helps you guys out. This is a revolutionary new software that I highly recommend for book flipping arbitrage or just anybody that wants to make money reselling from their actual computer.